Hey everyone, welcome to Code Speak by R, powered by Ustride. Today I'm thrilled to introduce to you our honored guest, Mr. Dilip Patel. His philosophy centers on compassion, personal growth, encapsulated in the mantra of being gentle to yourself, of course. Through his latest book, Life's Balance Sheet, he offers practical strategies for achieving harmony and success. Amidst the chaos that we all have in life, there is a lot of emphasis on nurturing inner peace. So, today, join me to lead a fulfilling life with the power of balance and self care with Mr. Patel. Welcome, Mr. Patel. Welcome to our show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Alvina, for the generous introduction.
It's a pleasure.
Mine too.
So, speaking about your latest books and the
Gee,
latest book, in fact, Life's Balance Sheet, what
yes.
motivated you to dive into this concept of harmonizing life?
Well, partly it is the upbringing of from my parents to me, but when I got into this training activity, I found that the toughest one is to change the attitudes and the behavior of people. Most of
Right.
the training activities are about information and knowledge, but personal change is the one which actually makes a person to achieve what he or she is looking for by making changes in behavior. So that activity led me to understand that why people know things but do not adopt it, do not change, and what would make it happen. So that's in brief brought me to create this whole process called life balance sheet.
Perfect. Now, you are an author. You've written a couple of books, and of course, life's experience and the knowledge trail that follows you. Could you take us through your journey?
Okay, you see the center of this or the crux of this book is about happiness. And I'm yet to come across anybody who says, I don't want to be happy in this world, which means that practically everyone who is walking on this planet wants to be happy. And yet I was puzzled for last 20 years. I've been working on this concept that why they do not teach happiness in schools, colleges, or universities. And that brought me to
Absolutely.
a lot of understanding.
Yes.
The basic reason I it's my own way of looking at it is that look, you want to learn something about uh, a concept or a thing if you do not know about it. However, we all have gone through, and everybody goes through that at the age of 1.5 years age itself. If you give a lollipop to a child and the child licks that and feels nice about it, that's the happiness. And
Yes.
this kind of activity continues in our lives so that even before we have stepped into the school's portals, we know what is happiness for ourselves. But only when we grow up and we start working and we experience the adverse situations, etc., then we realize that maybe what we know as happiness is only a very small, minuscule part. Maybe that is
Right.
not real happiness. And
Right.
that is what brought me to work on this whole concept of decoding happiness, trying to work out how to make people um, check their own life, sort of assessing their own life, find out what or who are making happiness happen, and who or what are actually stealers of happiness. So
Right.
that was the process which has made me to create this whole book.
Amazing. So, speaking about happiness, of course, it's a very integral part in today's world because as children, we are very innocent. So, everything is very happy and very nice. Even a simple sunshine or the rain gives that joy because there's no stress. The parents are there to take all the stress, right? So, as adults, of course, we crave to live a happy life and a stress free life. So, what are your top tips that individuals can adopt to be calmer, to be more gentle towards themselves? And, of course, the rat race is there, but some mantra or some top tips or some cheats way where we can find that happiness.
You see, the whole thing goes down to you. You very rightly said that children are very happy and cheerful. But then, as a child, you are having very innocent desires. They don't connect with your real life. For
Yeah,
example, when I was 4 year old, I was fascinated by the postman who would go from home to home. And of course, people will ask the postman to read out whatever the letter has come.
yeah,
And I would find as a child that some people start crying. Where those days, I'm talking in 1950s,
yeah,
that some bad news would have come and some good news is there, and people become very happy. And so I thought that the postman is a very powerful person. He makes people laugh or cry. So the innocent desire was that I want to become a postman someday. But then as we grow up, we connect with reality.
yeah.
And that is where the desires, if they are not getting fulfilled, you become unhappy. The desires which are getting fulfilled, you are absolutely happy. And from that onwards, I started looking at the very practical aspects that in my own personal life, how I grew up, what kind of desires did I have or I did not have. In fact, I thought that, minimum desires, maximum happiness. And
Perfect. Very well said.
when you start planning a lot of things and then things don't go up as per the plan, then you get into trouble. So in my personal life, if I look at it, most of my life events have just happened. I did not chase them, I did not look for them, and therefore I started enjoying whatever was happening, good, bad, or ugly. And that background made me to when I started becoming a trainer, I thought that that was a great mantra, that
Yeah.
please have minimum desires and remain detached with the results. You put in your efforts, yes, if you have desire. But if the results do not come the way you had expected, then let it not touch your inner core and make you unhappy. Maybe something
Mhm.
else you have to learn out of that, and you move on and learn something differently. So
Right,
if I trace back, this is what it came out to me, that um, mantra is that have minimum desires, put in all your efforts, but if you do not succeed in fulfilling the desire, then move on to another desire. Nothing wrong.
right, right. Speaking about being minimalistic, recently,
Yes.
about 2, 3 months ago, there was a serial on Netflix, The Minimalist, where
Hmm.
all the rich and famous and people who are really seeking that desire, like you mentioned, and inner peace and happiness, just started selling everything, staying in a very basic house, very basic furniture and accessories. And yes, they all had a garden, and they were, growing their own fruits and vegetables and everything, because that was giving inner peace and joy. It is as simple as, recently in my garden I planted a tomato seed. So when that first tomato, as a little flower and then blooming into a beautiful fruit, it is so much joy to see that. And
You
we feel that we should take it, use it. And I told everyone in the house, don't pluck it. It is so cute, let it be on the tree, because every time you see that, you feel that you have nurtured something good. So with the desires that you spoke, I sincerely feel that nurturing yourself is very important before nurturing others.
absolutely, absolutely, and you picked the right word. You said joy and
Yeah,
minimalistic living. Let me tell you that way back in 2009, I picked up this thought that the global warming, the root cause is somewhere in our consumeristic attitude,
yeah.
multiple desires. So I came across a very interesting exercise, or rather experiment, which I did with myself with profound results. It just said that for one year, one calendar year, you decide that you will not buy anything new, except
Hmm.
whatever is required for your day-to-day requirements is
Right,
fine, food items
right.
and undergarments and all that. And I tell you, amazing results came out, because I during that period I lost my watch. It broke. I said my mobile phone helps me in knowing the time. When my mobile phone was stolen, I was in deep trouble that day. Then I realized a lot of youngsters are buying moment the new item has come. So I talked to one of the guys who I was mentoring, and he lent me his mobile phone, which lasted for next three and a half years or so. Then my pants. I found out that in my cupboard there were six suits, starting from my marriage day, then Rotary Club, then trip abroad, and so many. And the pants were still intact, which I was never able to see. So since my kamar had not become kamara, my my pants fitted very well, and I managed to do that so much so that my understanding about money changed, my connection with the
Absolutely.
money changed, and I
Yeah.
started talking about it in all my workshops. And last 14 years now, I am still living with that minimum things. Very rarely I need to buy. And I've existed and I've inspired a lot many people to take up this experiment for 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. And then you see how your attitude changes and how you are able
Absolutely.
to be your surplus money, you can make it happen for poor people. I did
Yeah.
lot many such things. So I think you're rightly said minimalistic living is, and then that happens with minimum desires again.
Yes, yes. That's why I related desires to
Yes.
minimalistic living. So recently I stumbled across a post which you had mentioned, the self care jar. So, can you
Mhm.
walk us through how it works and the benefits of an individual when you have a self care jar with you?
You see, I go a little deeper when I say self care. I talk about your inner self. Besides, of course, your body is one of your vehicles. I
Yes,
call body as one of the resources that you have, and it works as as a vehicle for first mile and last mile connectivity, which
yeah,
means that you may have all kinds of vehicles, even up to aircraft you may be owning, but the from your bedroom to getting out of the house, you still need this body as your vehicle to take you out.
yes,
Likewise, last mile connectivity, where you, if you're working, you go by your car, you go by your scooter, but finally you have to keep it parking outside, and then you walk into your office, walk up to your table. So self care would mean to me that your body must remain robust, because if you call this as a vehicle, then its spare parts are not available. Even if you've got lots of money in your pocket, you cannot change this vehicle like you change your motorcycles and cars and all that. And you have to put in fuel in this vehicle such that it does not reduce your mileage,
yeah,
which would mean that your food, what you eat, the liquid that you take in, you have to be very conscious about it. So that's one part of the important self-care for maintaining your body very well. And I'm happy to say that last 30, 40, 50 years, I've never experienced what is headache. And I don't
lovely.
need
You're so lucky.
I,
We get a headache on daily basis.
at 74, people keep asking me what is the secret of your energy. And I feel that minimum food, my mother would say that take one morsel less than what you need to eat, and that keeps you going well. And you choose your food, not very oily stuff, not very fatty stuff, and then you are through. And then maintain some kind of exercises and activities. The mind is another resource which you have to be conscious about yourself, because it can pick up all kinds of things, whether you are in a formal process of learning or in a very informal way of walking about, meeting people. Your brain picks up the signals through those five senses all the time, and good, bad, or ugly. Now if you are not conscious about the ugly stuff getting in, then you might derail. Your
Yes,
life can get derailed. So, self maintenance and caring for self means these two things for me: that body must be maintained very well, be very kind to your body and be very gentle. And your mind, you have to be very conscious about what you're picking up, what you're dropping off, and how you control. So, sort of a meditative process is important in life. Being mindful is very important in life. And these are some of the aspects I bring in into my workshops as well.
right. Amazing, beautiful insights, especially your body being your vehicle, which is completely important. So, and it is completely logical. In fact, we service our car, we change tires, you do oil change, fill petrol, whatever, but it begins with you. So, it's completely amazing. Now, when you spoke about your body, I
Yeah.
had a couple of questions in my mind that were going,
Okay.
and when we spoke about the brain as well. So, of course, prioritizing self care, health, everything involves a physical, mental, and emotional process. So,
Yes.
what are the tips, top five tips that you would like to give our audience to maintain that balance, like your book says, life's balance sheet, to maintain that physical, emotional, and mental aspect? Because it's so chaotic today.
You see, basically, what happens is, apart from I spoke about the maintaining body as your resource, I, in my book, I have created a very different model. It's a very unique model. What really happens is that whatever desires you have to fulfill using some resources. And these
Yes.
resources are these four. Body is one resource, your mind is another resource, your time is third resource, and the fourth resource is your material wealth. And when you are using these four resources, you have to look within inside who is using with these resources. You're not an individual person. You're a
Yeah.
bundle of people, bundle of roles that you're playing in your life. Each role is an individual residing in the common body and mind. So at home, I may be a father, I may be a husband, I may be a son. Outside in my workplace, I am a trainer. Somebody else may be going to the office. He is a manager or he is a accountant. And in society, you are a citizen. You've got so many other activities. You could be a player, you could be a singer. So multiple roles that we are playing. How do you create harmony among those roles? But they behave like a crowd. They're very individualistic. They want to fulfill their goal itself, and therefore they grab these four resources, and therefore the other roles which are inside you are not getting those resources, so they become unhappy.
Yeah.
So my mantra is that every morning, at least that's what I do, I spend about 1 hour with myself. I have a nice garden, terrace garden with some greenery and the morning sun. So I sit in front of the sun and then I have my sort of meditation happening. I take a lot of sunlight for vitamin D for my body, and I pick up my phone at that time to talk to some people who are going to make my day's activities happening, and just watch the nature, watch some birds coming around, let my mind cool down. So begin with that, and then it goes on that okay, at the end of the day, as per my book's process work, the I call this as a four zones of your working, four areas or four pages. I am calling it. The one is that to whom are you grateful today? It's not unconnected thing. It's a very practical thing. That somebody who has done some good for you, think about that person, and did you say thank you to that person, whether it's a recent one or a very old one? Connect with that person, remind that person, express your gratitude. It itself produces some serotonin in your body and you feel very nice. That's a real happiness happening, and you never know, that person will connect you with so many other things. The next
Yes.
thing that I suggest is that whom would you do some good today? Normally, all that we are doing is for our own selfish needs. But here, selflessly, can you think of doing something for someone within your family or at your workplace? And suddenly you'll find that, it can be very simple as you, to your subordinates, just go and praise that person. Put your hand on the shoulder and say, you did a great job yesterday, and appreciate that person. Or if somebody needs your help without thinking what is in it for me, go ahead and do something. So small acts when you start doing, it will start helping you in building up your happiness. And these mantras will lead you to knowing that there are some people who are difficult in your life. Some people you consider them as a very tough man. I don't know how to deal with that person.
Yeah.
And then there may be some of the vikaras, as we call those six enemies inside you hidden. Kama, Krodha, Mada, Moha, Matsarya, Lobha. Now they may be leading you to do something in a wrong way with some people. So my third and fourth page of the life balance sheet talks about that. Have you caused any harm or hurt to somebody, knowingly or
Correct.
unknowingly? And
Yeah.
if you can recognize that in that quiet time in the morning when you sit down and sit for silence, then you say, okay, was it worth it? What has it been doing to me? Is my relationship affected with that person? Is my path of progress getting stuck up? So if it is my ego or if it is something wrong that I've done, can I go and say sorry to that person? So I help the person through this book and through my workshops to go in that. And the fourth page is that somebody else has done wrong to you. That also
Yes,
happens in the process of fulfilling our desires.
yeah,
So how do you look at that? If you are getting angry, upset, you carry the grudge, then it will lead you to a different direction. If you think that there may be something for me to learn out of that, and a lot of things are put in my book in about all that, that how you look at that paves your way. If I find that if somebody has caused harm to me, then there is something lacking in me, and if I find out that and I improve upon that, then I'm adding value to my life. I'm opening a new door in my life. So these are the mantras I talk about in this book. Very practical, without any abstract stuff, and that is how people have loved this for last 12 years. This book has been making a huge book has come out now, but the process has been helping people tremendously.
right. Amazing. That's so wonderful to hear the four mantras that you told and shared with us today. So, if someone, I'll just give you a situation, a very basic situation of someone being really overwhelmed with all the demands of everyday life, which happens to all of us. Probably it's happening to me today, it may happen to somebody else tomorrow. We all are overwhelmed with this rat race that's going on. And it's very difficult to find time for that mental peace, you know, to sit with yourself, self analyze, self reflection, like you mentioned, is very important. So, what advice would you give someone who is really overwhelmed with everyday chaos?
You know, we tell that if we normally say, look, at least can you find half an hour for yourself in the morning? And if somebody says, no, I'm very, very busy person, I have so many things, I say, in that case, you need 1 hour for yourself in the morning. You know, you don't stop breathing, you don't forget breathing. So what happens is that we are so much tuned to the outer world that we are so much into the workplace and we are work related people, and I may lose this customer or I may get big orders and I have to do this, I have to do that. We start losing out our contact with our own family members. So my mantra is that your time must be divided into three parts. One is definitely your workplace, because that is where your mullahs comes, your livelihood builds up there. But you can't forget your family, because that is where your source of happiness is there. Source of joy comes from there.
Yes.
And the third one is you yourself. If you do not find time with yourself, then you are missing out. I'm not saying this, but Vivekananda had said that if you do not spend time with yourself and talk to yourself, you are losing out an opportunity of talking to a great person. So in
Hmm.
each one of us, the great personalities are hidden inside, and we have to just bring that out and we have to consult that. And think about it. Anybody who is listening to us, think about it that whenever you have taken some decision, you may have talked to some 10 different people, but you have taken the decision when you are sitting alone in quietness. And that is
Yeah.
what works. So you must find time with yourself and go inside, listen to your own inner self. We call it as a inner voice, and then have courage to obey that. Amazing results happen. I have multiple such things happening in my own life.
Right. Amazing. Amazing. So that's so beautiful. And what lovely insights we have from Mr. Patel today on the show. So, what is that last piece of advice which you would like to share with our audience?
Well, one my selfish advice is pick up this book and follow that. But generally speaking, life is beautiful. It becomes beautiful when we make it happen. One of my beneficiaries has written this, and it's on my last page of the book. It says, I have started believing now that you cannot change the whole world, but if you change a little bit yourself, you can see the changed world. It's all in
Absolutely.
our way of looking at it. That your world is around you, and when you make
Yes.
small change in yourself, your people around you, they will start changing, and you can see that change happening. So
Yes.
my advice is that be conscious about your actions and find out where you are going wrong. Make that small little change, and you will be happier in your life.
Thank you so much, Mr. Patel. It was a pleasure having you on the show. And guys, our top tips is you know your desires, you know you need happiness, you need to find some time to yourself. Life is chaotic, I agree, and we all agree. But finding that time that helps you reflect, creates that self compassion, that awareness is of optimal use, which helps you going throughout the day and throughout the days and the weeks, and as you may call it, the years ahead. So I'll give you a very simple example before I sign out. So, like the sun rises every day and the moon comes out at night. So, similarly, have positive thoughts, be happy, be mindful, practice gratitude, be that rising sun that comes out every day in your own life and the lives you touch, and be that shining moon on a dark night as well. Thank you so much. Hope you all enjoyed the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much.